Hello everyone and welcome back to All Terrain RC. In this video we'll be showing you how to repair a destroyed differential on an ARRMA Granite 3S BLX. So let's get into it. So right here I've got all the stuff that you're going to need. So first you're going to need something with a bit of a spike of some sort. You're going to need a dirty rag that you can wipe your hands, wipe grease off onto. You're going to need two flathead screwdrivers. And then you're going to need a slightly longer or wider flathead screwdriver. And then you're going to need a 2.5mm hex driver or Allen key and a 2mm hex driver. Now you can't have a 2mm Allen key, you've got to have a hex driver. You'll see why you need a long hex driver in a minute. So if you've only got Allen keys, then you're going to want to get a set of these hex drivers. This is the one that we got. It came with a 1.5mm, a 2mm, a 2.5mm and a 3mm. They've been absolutely excellent. Next you're going to need some silicon diff fluid. This the ARRMA Granite 3S runs on 10K, so as you can see 10,000 CST. You'll need some of that. You're also going to need some diff grease. This is the stuff that we've got. It's been recommended to us by a hobby dealer. We've never tried it before, as you can see, but it feels really nice and tacky, which should protect the gears. And then you're also going to need a tray that you can have for putting dirty stuff in. So a bit of a dirt tray. Now you know your differential's been stripped when you hear a noise like this coming from your car. Obviously, horrible noise. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find out whether it's the front or the rear diff that's been stripped. And the easiest way to do that is to take the front drive shaft out. Take the top off. So what you're going to want to do is, just switch the car off, you're going to want to take this drive shaft out here. It's just a spring-loaded one. You push it in and then pop up. May have to unstrap the battery. Just push it in and then give it a pull and it comes out. And then you can take this little black thing here, pop that off, and then take the little red bit out as well. So now with the front drive shaft out, it's going to be two-wheel drive, which means only the rear wheels are going to be driving and the front will just roll loosely. So switch the car back on. Basically, all you have to do is take the drive shaft out. If it still makes the noise, you know it's going to be the rear diff, and if it doesn't make the noise, then you know it's going to be the front diff. Oops. Okay, yeah, that's really bad. Okay, yeah, you know this is really stripped when it doesn't even move. So as you can hear, it's still making the noise, so that means that it's going to be the rear diff that is stripped, and therefore the rear diff that we're going to need to pull apart. So now we know it's the rear diff that's slipping out. We'll just have to, obviously, take the rear diff apart. So first you need to take this red thing out. Easiest way to do that is unscrew this using your 2.5mm hex driver. There we go, got that out. It's a good idea to have a little tray to keep your parts in that you take out. Now I can put that back there. Now you just need a flathead screwdriver and another flathead screwdriver. Stick one in there. Actually no, you only need one. Sorry, just need one. So stick that in there, give it a twist, then give it another twist, give it another twist, give it another twist, and lever off the motor just to slide this red thing out. Now often there'll be dirt and grit under there, so it may take a bit of levering, but yep, eventually it'll come out. Got that out. Now you need the second one. Put one through here, which will lift this flap up, allowing you to slide this whole module that way. So that one under there, pushing down is then going to lift this flap, and while you push down, jam this screwdriver in this little gap and give it a little, push it in, give it a twist. Then do exactly the same on the other side here. Push it in, give it a twist. Then give it a twist, another twist, that's far enough, twist, just slowly lever and twist this whole power module out, and then eventually it'll come out. So same as the little red thing before, there'll often be quite a bit of dirt and grit under here, so it may take quite a bit of levering, but yeah, eventually it'll come out. I take this out quite regularly and clean underneath, so it's pretty easy. So it's a good idea to do that. Now just unplug all your wires, unplug your fan from here, unplug the blue wire, yellow wire and orange wire. And now you can put this whole thing to the side. Now take the shocks off. This time you'll need a 2mm hex driver or Allen key, and just push it in there and just untwist these. There you go, take that out and do the shock. I like to screw it back in just so you know where it goes. Screw it in a little way, and then do exactly the same to the other side to unscrew that. As before, take that out, pop the shock off, screw it back into its little place temporarily, and you're good. Now you'll just need to take these little arm things off, so just unscrew this. When you screw them back in, as soon as the end of the screw touches the plastic, stop immediately, because if you screw it too far, you'll pinch those things together and it'll break and bend. So you don't want that to happen. So just unscrew this one. Same as before, pull that out. There we go, pop that out. And take it off. Careful you don't use your little pivot ball thing. So just take that out from here and pop that in your tray. And then do the same to the other side. Yeah, take that screw out, away. You get your little pivot ball out of there, put that out. Now those things are off. Now just flip the car over. And you can take this screw, and this screw out using a 2.5mm hex driver or Allen key. And now, for the big reveal, you'll just be able to push this back and the diff is going to open. Now, so yeah, obviously we can see that this is completely and 100% trashed. You see all of those gears should stick up. Well, they're all completely worn down. And if we grab here, yeah, that is very uncomfortable. There's no way that there's going to get any grip on there. As you can see, it's spinning. So next you're going to want to get that diff out. So you'll just be pulling it up, which will slide out. Also, actually we'll just pull this out first. So you're going to pop out like that nicely. So you're going to want to get a dirty tray, I suppose you could call it, which you'll just sit that in here. Turn this over. You'll want to take this one out, this screw out here. Once again, 2.5mm. Unscrew that one out, and that is going to let the whole skid plate come off. So we get this one out. Now if we flip it back over, you'll just be able to see right there, it's just going to pop out. There you go. Like that. So now that whole thing is free. Just take that off and put it aside. And you can put this back here. Like that. Now that you've got the whole thing out, you've got the diff itself and it's cased out, and you got the holder exposed here and in here. you're going to want to start cleaning this out and cleaning that out. Because as you can see, both that bit there and this one here are just full of shredded pieces of torn up plastic and disintegrated glue. I mean, just worn down, not glue, worn down grease. You're going to want to start cleaning that out, so you have to get a rag like this sort of thing, just a really old dung one that you don't mind getting incredibly dirty. And then, so you're just going to wipe the whole inside out, just completely. Actually, it's a good idea to do this outside, so hold on a minute. So if you bring this over to the grass here, and we'll just take this. So really, now we're out on the grass, just wipe all of this terrible gunk out. And then if you can get a little spiky something like this, you can put the rag over the top of it. So we've got our spike, put the rag over in there like that. And then you've got a pointy end which you can dig in and get into all of the little cracks. And just get all of the horrible maggoty bits out. So we're back at the workbench now. As you can see, I've cleaned all of this up. It's looking really nice. So that's really all you need to do with most. That's pretty good. Nice and clean. And now you'll have the lovely and exciting job of doing exactly the same thing to here. So yeah, you're just going to want to clean it out like that. So what you want to do now is you're going to want to get your busted up diff. Now, you guys will probably be able to see, get our light, in there, you can see that input gear there is just completely shredded. No teeth left there at all. So, yeah, you're definitely going to need to replace that. You'll need your 2mm hex driver, and get this screw here, and just undo this. Take that one out, here, and then you'll just want to do exactly the same on the other side. This one here, this one. Take that out. So now what you need is you need to get your 2mm hex driver. Now I said earlier before, you can't have a 2mm Allen key. You've got to have a 2mm hex driver, because the Allen key end does not fit all the way down through that hole and onto the little screw down there. So if you've only got an Allen key, then you need to go out and get yourself one of these hex drivers. We've got a nice set from Elite Hobbies in Gisborne. These are the ones they got here. New Zealand. It was about $40, and they gave you all of the sizes that you need for doing that sort of thing. So yeah, if you've only got an Allen key, then go and get this set. I'd recommend. At least get the 2mm hex driver. Get your 2mm hex driver and just shove that down until you get to the screw. Yep, so I'm into the screw now. So now you're going to need to get a second rag and just wrap that round so you can get a good grip on that. Because if you haven't done this before, it's going to be in real tight. Just hold this like this and give it a good sharp twist. You can hear the click. And now it's going to come out. Give that a good unscrew, pop that out. And now this thing will pop off. Usually that's going to be full of grit and junk, so wipe that down. Excellent. So now you can just put this to the side. So you've got one side off, now we'll just do exactly the same to the other side. There we go. Wipe that end as well. So now you got this open, and because you've already taken those screws off, now these things will just, these black bits, I think they're called the yokes, will just slide off nicely. So here's your input gear just here. As you can see, completely totaled, shredded to bits the whole way around. And now you can just pull that off. So now you've got this piece here. You've got the two parts of the yoke. You've got your differential itself, and then you've got your input gear with the two bearings on there. Clean these. They're all terribly covered in grease, so you're just going to want to wipe all of these. Wipe both of these pieces down and get all of that rotten stuff off. So that is looking much, much, much better now. as you can see, I've wiped it all down. Just got all of the little parts of terrible rotten grease off. So now that's looking nice and clean, and we'll just do exactly the same to this side. So here you go, clean the other one up as well. So now we can put both of these to the side. Now this is where it really starts to get annoying. So what you're going to want to do is, here's your input gear. We'll start on the input gear. You're going to need to get your big flathead screwdriver again. Put this in under here. So you don't want to have it at the edge, because if you have it at the edge, then you can push the side of the bearing off and destroy it. You want to push it all the way in till it hits. You don't want to have it here, you want to have it here. So push it right in on the inside of the bearing and in there, and then just give it a twist. Just give it a little twist. Usually you would want to have a rag which you'd hold it in, and then put that in there and just give it a twist. And then just move it around, give it another twist. Move it around, give it another twist. And keep going. See, already I can see that has moved. So you want to keep going round, turning it round and twisting it until you can pop that bearing off. You want to do it so that you don't munt up this bearing, because you're going to want to put it back onto your new input gear when you get a new one. Now you'll just have to do exactly the same to the bottom bearing and get that one all the way up. Remember, try not to force it too hard. Just do it slowly, inch by inch, and just slowly get it off. So now I've got it pushed all the way right to the maximum, this bearing. And now you should, if it's jammed on really tight, you may just want to get a bigger screwdriver just until that end is big enough to push it off. But I think I should be able to pull this off. So I found a bigger screwdriver, as you may have noticed. So hopefully that's enough to get us to the top and off. There we go. Got it off. Now we got this. Now we've got the input gear here, so we don't need that because that's junk. Put this away. So you need to keep those two bearings because you're going to be using those soon. So now you've got the input gear out of the way. We've got the diff itself here. Now you'll need to get this bearing off here. The bearing on this side and on this side. And just put it in under the edge. Give it a twist. Keep working your way around to get it off. One's off now. So you got that bearing here. And now we'll just do exactly the same on the other side. There we go. Got that one off. That one there. So we got the next bearing. So now this one, oh yes, and you will see a little metal washer type thing underneath the top one. So that will go with there. So you'll see there'll be the fat side and there'll be the smaller side. The washer goes on this side here. Now we need to get our the 2mm hex driver and put it in there and just give these a twist. Now this thing's full of oil. So if oil starts leaking out and onto your hands, don't worry, that will be normal. Here we go, and start twisting these off. So this one's came off, and then I'll just do the same to the other two I mean. Right, so I've got all the screws out, and now we can just give the top a pull, and now it's going to come out. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Here are all of the parts. Man alive, look how black and grey and dark and terrible all of that grease is. Man alive, yep, that seriously needs a clean. And it's a good idea to take a photo of the positioning so you know where they go, so you don't stuff it up. You'll just have to pull out all of these gears and poles. See how I've sort of staggered them? There's a top one and a bottom one, top one, bottom one. And there's going to be this big fat gear here on the bottom and this big fat gear on the top. Now there's going to be these rubber O-rings that you're going to want to take out. They'll be just sitting here on those two gears, or they will be sitting on the inside of those. And now you're going to carefully take this gasket off. Here we go, it's coming off. Take this gasket off and put that there. So all of this stuff, except for those two, all of this you're going to be reusing, so don't lose it. So that is only fit for the trash, so we'll get rid of that, because yeah, that's totaled and complete. Actually, you can keep this, the lid of the diff, that's actually fine. So basically all the time this thing's always going to be fine. It'll be the gears on this that will be totaled. So I just keep these as spares. But just in case you do, or you need a spare one, or your friend needs one, I'm going to keep those. So here's all of these, and now, as you can see, this cog here is leaking a terrible mass of oil. This thing is covered in oil, this one's covered in oil, this one's covered in oil, and that one is covered in oil, and that one is covered in oil. So I just use my little spike, and you're going to want to clean all of these, and I just put the spike over the fabric of my rag and poke it in the gap and just start cleaning every single little one of them. And you're just going to clean all of these gears, keep cleaning until you've got all of them out. Get all of that horrible stuff off, because you want all of these nice and clean, so that when you put the new diff fluid in, you don't it doesn't have to work in with part of the old stuff. So all of these are cleaned now, and now what you need to do is get your brand new diff. So here, new diff, you need to open that. Go, brand new diff. Man, that looks really nice and good. Cool. All of these gears now need to go into the diff. So we'll put this one here, that one. Make sure you don't forget actually that goes on the top, so make sure you don't forget the O-ring, and we'll put that over the top here and slot that into here like that. There you go, that's in. You can see each one's got a little hole, so those holes are for where the poles go. So all you need to do is lower all the poles into place and lower the gears in on top after them, and make sure they all run together nicely. There you go, so all of these are now, they're all in, and it should twist like this. There you go. Right, now we'll get the second O-ring, slide that over the top of the last remaining one, put that in there like that, and now it slots in nicely just like that, and fits. And now you'll just want to test that it works, fit this on. Yeah, see, that works fine now. Oh yeah, it sounds way better now. Excellent. Take that off. Pop the top back off now. So now you've got all of your gears in place. Now you're going to want to put your diff fluid in. So there's 10K, 10,000 CST from ARRMA. Right, so make sure all these gears are pushed in. And now you're just going to let a drop of diff fluid just fall in. Start pouring your diff fluid in. A bit on that side. A little bit in the hole on that side. And now you're just going to want to slowly turn your gears to allow it all to fit in. Now you don't want to turn these gears too quickly, because then you might get air bubbles in the grease, and then that's just going to be a pain in the neck. So just slowly turn these gears around. There we go, and now just put some more in. And then just keep turning, keep going, just slowly. And ideally you want to fill them up till the, fill it up till the grease, the diff fluid reaches to the top of the lowest gear. So when you hit the top of, let's get the light on better. You hit the top of that low gear there, that's where you want to stop. Now that it's about to the top, you're going to want to let this sit for a bit and just push on these gears here, these two top ones, because if you've been letting it sit on this piece here, it may have, see, when I let it sit, it pushes all the gears up. So, yeah, you don't want that to happen. So just push down on them all. Make sure they're all sitting in their proper place. Yeah, those are all sitting nicely in place. So now you're just going to want to let this sit for a little bit. Just let it sit, and any air bubbles that are in there, just to slowly to come to the top and burst. So you can see here I've got a piece of Lego and another piece of Lego. And I've just put them on both sides and just let the pole sit in the middle. There you go. So that now it's not balanced on the pole, which means the pole's not pushing all the gears up. So the gears are all going to stay in their right place. And I've got all of the diff fluid in. The diff fluid is flat in the thing, and it's literally just about 0.5 millimetre below the lowest gear, the top of the lowest gear. So I'm just going to let this sit for a little bit for any air bubbles that are still in there. Just going to let that sit, and all of the air bubbles to rise to the surface and burst. Alright, so it's been about 20 minutes. You probably really only need to leave it for about 10. But it's all soaked in, it's looking perfect now. So I'm just pushing these a little bit. Yep, they're fine. So now we're just going to get the gasket. Right guys, after trial and error, I found out that it's best to put the gasket on the lid first. So you get it just right in the lid, and then you go and put it in like this. Now it fits in nicely like that. So remember that guys, put your gasket on the lid first. So now this is perfect, it's all on, nice. And now we've just got to put the screws back in. We'll grab our 2mm and just start screwing these guys back in. Boy, that took absolutely ages. All 4 of those screws were incredibly stiff and my arm was aching. Anyway, yep, got all those 4 in. A little bit of oil was coming outside where that gasket is, so we'll just wipe there. So now, as you can see, if I put this end on, this thing turns really nicely, man. That feels so good. So that is looking really good. One thing I might suggest is the edge of the gasket sticks out a little bit. And we did have some trouble one time. It rubbed on the input gear a little bit and it was a bit annoying. So I would recommend just getting a little bit of sandpaper and just sanding it down. Any of the bits where it sticks up, I'd just sand it a little bit. Now we just need to put these bearings back on here, and all of that will be completely finished. So don't forget to put your little metal washer back in on here. So we'll put this here over the top, and now we'll get our bearing. Pop there like that. And now what you need to do is you're going to need to get something like this. And you put this over the top here, and then you grab a hammer and you just give it a wallop. Actually, a slightly smaller one would probably be a bit better. There we go, this is more perfect size. We put this on here. Hammer this evenly down. And now we can't hit it down any further because we'll be hitting that. So we just need to get one of these things. So we get this set of stuff here. And we'll use I'd say this size. Actually, here's a good size. This is a 13mm. We put that over the top, like that, and then that. And now we give it a whack. There we go. Look at that. Sitting on there nicely. Just like that. And now we just do exactly the same to the other side. Done. So there's that whole thing is finished. Now we need to move on to the input gear. So I just went out and bought myself a new input gear. So now what we need to do is put these bearings back onto the input gear. So you want to make sure that when you put them on, there's going to be a gap between them, because one bearing needs to be on that side and one on that side with the input gear in the middle. So don't hammer them together too far, otherwise it's not going to fit. So we've got the input gear. Now we'll just put a bearing on top. So we've got the bearing on level here on the input gear, and then we've got our little handy thing, and we've also got our hammer. So we just need to grab this, put that on there, and then actually I'll just grab a slightly smaller one. Here we go. So that one can go on there, and then we'll put that on top. Now we just need to hammer this bearing all the way down to the bottom. So just hammer the bearing all the way down to the bottom here. Right, so the bearing's at the bottom now, and now we've just got to do the same to this one, but make sure you don't bash it too far. So if we get this, we can measure. The first bearing goes there, the second bearing needs to go down, needs to be pushed down to here. You don't want to get your bearing, the edge of your bearing, past that lump, because it needs to sit there. So just hammer it down a little way and then check, and then hammer it a bit more and then check. There we go, hammered it down and it fits in nicely there. Be careful when hammering it down, because it only took me like 2 taps and it got it down perfectly. So yeah, don't make sure you don't push it too far, otherwise it'll take you ages to get it back off and it'll be a pain in the neck. Now grab your diff and your input gear, and then the 2 yokes. The diff side with the little lump here, that's the one that the smaller end's going to go in. So you just put that on in there, and then, oh whoops, hold on, you have to do it the other way. Put the diff in, and then put the input gear just there. See, that works really nicely now. And then put that one over the top, and then you'll just have to grab your 2mm hex driver or Allen key, and you'll just have to screw those screws back in here. There you go. Now both sides of the screws are screwed in. Don't do them up too tight. As you can see, this is a bit coggy at the moment and doesn't feel super nice, so you may have to just unscrew these screws a little bit on both sides, and then just keep unscrewing them and tightening them until they get to a relatively nice. Okay, see, that's much better. Still a little bit coggy, so I'll just take these screws a little bit further out. You don't want to take them or both of them too far out, otherwise you end up coming apart. There we go, that's feeling much nicer. The brand new gears will be a bit coggy, so don't be too worried about that. Because they're plastic gears, they will just wear in over time as you use the truck. So if you end up just unscrewing it to completely unscrewed and it still feels rotten, then don't be too worried. Right, that's that all screwed up. Now get your grease. We use this, well, I haven't actually used it before, but this is what I'm going to use. It was recommended to me by a hobby dealer that we know pretty well. So it feels really nice and tacky, so that should be good. I'd recently been using this stuff, but it's made for model railroads and it just slings off immediately. So we'll open this and see how that goes. There we go, got that out now. We'll just take the top off, and then we'll just spike this little end. Whoa. This is coming out. Okay then. Right. Anyway, what you need to do is you'll have your diff, and get your drive shaft and just push that on there, and then put your grease on those gears, and then just turn it round. Basically, just turn it round. Just keep turning the gears round for a wee while, and it'll just get in the gears. Now you don't need a huge amount of grease on here. I mean, if you're using not very tacky stuff, then you probably want a bit more. But really, you don't need you don't need much at all. So I'll just put a bit more on here, and then I'll just keep turning it round, just getting all the grease in. Just doing that, just getting them all in. And keep turning it round and putting grease on. There we go, so I've greased this all up now. Probably put a little bit too much, but never mind. It's already feeling much, much better now, much less coggy with the grease on and after I've just been turning it in both directions. So that's it all greased up. Now you just want to get your car out. So you got your car, and then you'll just have to grab your diff and then just slot that in. There we go. No, it's this way. There we go, so that'll just slot in there. Oh yes, I almost forgot, we need to screw these back on. So the little axle things, just push those on. And then grab your 2mm hex driver and then just screw the little screws inside back on. There we go, that one's screwed in tight, and then just do exactly the same to the other side. There we go, I got that on, and now, so just slot that axle in there, and then slot that axle in there. There we go, and then the diff will just sit in there nicely. Excellent. So it will probably feel a little bit coggy now because the yokes do get squashed together a little bit when they're in there, but they're plastic gears and it'll wear in over time, so you'll be fine, don't worry about that. Right, yep, feels fine. Great, so now you can just get back to putting it back together. So just slot this in under here, and then we'll go in over the top. Nice, like that. And then we can turn it back over. And then you can screw these screws here back in. So if we just grab our tray of parts up here, get these long ones. So now you can just grab your 2.5mm hex driver and your long screws from your box and just start screwing these back in. And then don't forget to put your other little one here that goes in the center. Don't forget to screw that one in as well. Then turn it over and you just screw your little link arm things in. Don't forget to grab your little pivot balls, which can go in here. Got it in, make sure you put it in that way, not that way. So once you get it in, make sure you don't screw it any further past there. Just as soon as that end touches the plastic, stop. Otherwise you can pinch the two arms together and it'll break the plastic. Right, and then just do exactly the same to the other side. There we go, so that end of that screw is just touched there, and I'm not going to screw it in any further because it'll be fine, and then if I screw it in too far, it'll pinch the two ends together and break. So now I'll just put these shocks, screw them back on. There we go, that's that all screwed in. So now you'll have to put the power module back in. All you need to do is make sure that the top tooth on the input gear is lined up to the top. There you go, like that. Make sure all this is out, and then grab your power module, put that in, and then it just slots in there. Don't push it flat on the chassis, just like lift it up a little bit at the end closest to you guys. And basically the trick is you just gotta, make sure that the tooth at the top, make sure there's a little hole at the top up here. And then you just need to give it a good, quick, sharp jerk in. Nah. It'll take a few tries, but you will be able to get it in. There we go. Nice. So there we go, that feels really nice. So, works fine. And then both of them, all those gears are working nicely. Then you'll just be able to plug all of these back in. There we go. Don't forget to plug your fan in. I just haven't plugged mine in because it's busted at the moment. and tuck those wires in there, and then just grab your little red thing, slot that in, turn the car over, grab your 2.5mm, chuck your little screw in here and screw that in, turn it back over. Now that'll be all good. Just make sure that your little bits are hanging up nicely. Put those in. Then you just need to grab your little bits, chuck that in there, that over the top, grab your drive shaft, fatter end at that side, put the skinny end in there, push it in, boom, there we go, that's all nice. And then you're done. Thanks so much for watching. If your diff is really coggy when you turn it, just don't worry, they're plastic gears and it'll wear in and it'll be fine. Before you do, remember to get yourself a 2mm hex driver, because you're going to need that. You can't do the job with just an Allen key, because it won't fit. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.